자, 그럼 지금부터 2021 서울
We will
뷰티
now
위크 첫 번째
begin the
프로그램이죠.
first program for 2022 Beauty Week titled
하겠습니다.
Beauty Trend
뷰티
Insight.
산업의 허브 서울
So,
원년을
22 Seoul
알리는
Beauty
2021
Month
뷰티
kicks off the
그
first
첫
year
번째
of Global
주제인
Beauty
2021
Industry
서울
Hub
뷰티
Seoul,
위크. 방금
and
전에
we've
따끈따끈하게
just
개막식으로 함께
held the
인사를
opening
드렸는데요.
ceremony of the
개막식에
2022
보내주신
Seoul
여러분의
Beauty
열정
Week,
덕분에
which is the
감사의
first
의미를
festival
낼 수
of this
있었습니다.
month
다시
here
한번
in
감사
Dongdaemun. Thank you
인사드리면서
so much. It was
저도
all
역시
because
한 번 더
of you.
인사드리도록
And I'd
하겠습니다.
like to introduce
개막식과
myself
함께 또
once
이어서
again and
인사드리고
say
있습니다. 저는
hello.
아나운서
My
장선영입니다.
name is
반갑습니다.
Shin Young. It's a pleasure to meet you.
네, 고맙습니다.
Thank you very much.
이곳 현장의 열기가 조금씩
I can definitely
뜨거워지고 있는
feel
것 같습니다.
enthusiasm rising at DDP here in Art Hall.
많은 분들께서 우리 K
So many
뷰티에
people
많은 애정과
have a
관심을
lot of
보여주신
affection and
분이
interest
아닐까
in
생각이
K
지금부터는 우리
beauty.
뷰티 산업의 트렌드를
And today
보면서
we'd
좀
like to
유의미한
look
시간을
at the
가져보도록
trends in the
하겠습니다.
beauty
K 뷰티의
industry.
발전을 위해서
We
많은
have
노력을 하고
many
계신 우리
researchers
연구자님들,
joining us today who
노하우를
are
공유해보도록
making
하겠습니다.
efforts to advance
K-뷰티와
beauty
함께
here in
성장해온
Korea.
선도 기업의
And
노하우들을
we will
하나하나
share
만나볼 예정인데요.
know-hows that have been
지난
accumulated
4달간
by
준비를
leading
해오셨다고
companies
합니다.
in
어떤
K-beauty.
내용들 전해주실지
These companies
기대가
have made
되는데요.
preparations for this
뷰티
event for the
트렌드
past 3
인사이트. 오늘은 첫 번째
months.
시간 1부로
Now,
함께 인사를 드리고
the first
있습니다.
part of
총
Beauty
3부로
Trend
진행이 될
Insight
텐데요.
will soon
오늘
begin.
진행되는
The Beauty Trend
1부에서는
Insight is composed
요즘
of
어떤
3 parts,
산업이나
and in
트렌드를
this
논함에
first
있어서 빠질 수가
part,
없는 주제입니다.
we have to talk
스마트
about
뷰티
smart
테크라는 주제로
beauty
이 스마트
tech.
뷰티 테크를
Now, technology is
통한
something that we
새로운
always
기회를
talk
알아보는
about when we
시간을
talk about
만들어
trends in
가보도록
any
하겠습니다.
industry. So
아마
let's
오늘
talk about smart
현장에는
beauty
우리
tech
미래
today.
K-뷰티를 좀 이끌어주실
Now, we
뷰티
have
스타트업 그리고
beauty
강소기업의
startups
선정분들
as well
함께해
as small
주셨는데요.
hitting
대단히
champions who will
환영합니다.
lead
오늘
K-beauty
현장에
in the
계신
future
분들
joining
가운데
us.
열정적으로
And
끝까지 함께해 주신 분들 대상으로
among
제가
those who
마지막에
stay
인사가
with us
준비될 때
until the
뷰티
very
박스를
end,
전달해
we
드리도록
will give
하겠습니다.
you
여러분
a beauty
중에
box.
제가 랜덤으로 전해드릴
And of course, the
예정이니까요.
beauty box
끝까지
will be
호응
given
많이
out
해주시고
randomly.
박수
So
많이
please do
쳐주시면
join us until the
대단히
very end.
감사하겠습니다.
And
자,
please
그럼
give big
지금부터는
round
첫
of
번째
applauses to our
발표자분을
speakers.
단상을
Now let's
모시고
invite the
만나보도록
first speaker.
하겠습니다. 첫 번째 발표는
The first speaker
대한화장품산업연구원
is from Korea
신혜영
Cosmetic Industry
주임연구원께서
Institute,
준비하고
Ms.
계시고요.
Shin Hye Young, who is a
밸류체인으로
Smart Beauty
보는
Tech
스마트
Project
뷰티
Manager.
테크,
And
그리고
the
새로운
presentation
기회라는
title is
주제로
Smart Beauty
준비해
Tech through
주셨습니다.
Value Chain and a
어떤
New
내용일지 여러분
Opportunity.
박수와 함께
Now please
만나보도록
greet
하겠습니다.
her with a big round of applause.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는
Hello.
대한화장품
As introduced,
연구하고 있는
my name is
Shin
Shin
Hye
Hye Young. I'm a
연구원입니다.
Smart Beauty Tech Project Manager at
화장품 업계에 계신 분들
KCII.
중에 몇몇 분들은 저를 이제
So
알아보시는 분도
some of
계실
you
거라고
already know
생각하는데요.
me.
오늘은 저희가 연구원에서 최근에
And
이제 연구하고
today,
있는
I'd
주제인
like
스마트
to
뷰티
talk
테크에
about smart
대해서
beauty tech, which is a project that's ongoing
좋은 자리를 마련해
at
주셔서 나오고
KCII. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of you.
우선 오늘 발표 전에 저에 대해서
So before I begin my presentation, I'd like to briefly introduce myself.
산업연구원에서
So at KCII, I do overseas market survey and marketing and research.
최근에 지금 하고 있는 프로젝트는 스마트
And
뷰티
we
테크
are currently
프로젝트거든요.
conducting a smart
이에
beauty technology
여러분들께서
project. And of course, we do
만드셔서
have other
해외에
projects as well, which will help you import and export cosmetics products in and out of Korea.
하고 있습니다.
And that's precisely what I do.
저희 연구원은
Now, this is the picture of KCII. We are situated next to Amore Pacific's plant, which is in Osan. And our main business scope is that usually, ingredients, R&D, product safety, and market trends are very important in the life cycle of a cosmetics product, and that's the kind of research that we do. Now, I'd like to talk about the Beauty Tech 4.0 and Smart Beauty Tech. Just a minute, I'd like to take off this microphone from the stand.
여러분들 그 화장품 업계에 계시면
If you're in the beauty industry, you probably have all heard of the term Beauty Tech 4.0.
근데 저희가 업계에 계신 분들하고 얘기를
And when we
하면
talk with the industry players, their reactions are like this. My company is just too small that we don't know how to introduce these technologies and how to operate them. I'm a beauty creator and my business is still small, so I don't know how to adopt these technologies. So these are some of the comments that I get from many industry players. So that's where our research started out. We wanted people to easily understand and access beauty tech. So hence our project began.
이 뷰티 테크라는 거는 저희가 눈을 감고 시간이 지날 때까지
Beauty tech
기다리는 그런 트렌드가 아니에요.
is not a trend for you to just sit and close your eyes and wait. You have to incorporate this trend now, or else you will lose your competitive edge in K-beauty. So beauty tech is a new wave of change that you must inevitably accept.
그렇다면 저희가 뷰티 테크 4.0
Now, beauty tech 4.0.
스마트 뷰티 테크라고 부르는 건 도대체 무엇인가?
There's that, and there's also smart beauty tech. So what's the difference between those two terminologies? Smart beauty tech actually talks about not the cases in which these technologies are applied, but these smart beauty technologies actually integrate in each value chain step these technologies. Now, those are what we call smart beauty tech. And we took a look at the number of cases in which these technologies are being applied, and AI, big data, and those are some of the technologies that are being most frequently used.
이 화장품 밸류 체인은 업계에 계신 분들은
Now, with regards to the cosmetic value chain, I'm sure you all know this already. We would select the ingredients and do an R&D on the ingredients and create products in the manufacturing plant, and then it will go through marketing and distribution. So this is the entire cosmetic value chain. But with the adoption of smart technology, changes were brought to the value chain. So what are those changes? Each item of this value chain was very concrete and independent in the past, but now they have become incorporated or become shortened, and even new value chains began to be created. So what happens if you're not aware of this change? You will lose the opportunity to go through a new transformation. So looking at the value chain, we have to know what smart beauty tech is all about. From production to consumers, each stages are becoming shorter and more simplified. In terms of R&D, we do safety tests on ingredients and efficacy tests of those ingredients, but AI and data technology can actually accelerate that process of R&D. And one thing that's a hot topic in the industry is that we do not do animal tests anymore. Even without animal tests, we can prove safety of a certain product. How is that done? Through technology. With regards to manufacturing, marketing, and distribution, there are some key cases that we should focus on. First is bespoke cosmetics. Bespoke cosmetics is a global trend. There's a global trend of individualization, and bespoke cosmetics is in line with that trend. And also creating a diverse range of products in small batches and smart factories are some of the other trends that I can talk about. So, these technologies are changing the beauty ecosystem. We were not aware of this during COVID-19 because we were cooped up at home and we worked from home. But in the COVID era, the digital world actually created these new beauty ecosystems that we were not aware of. Combination of beauty and technology have resulted in beauty tech service companies, beauty tech startup brands, as well as related innovation labs. And these ecosystems are becoming enlarged. The L'Oreal will make presentation later, but let's take L'Oreal for example. L'Oreal adopted the slogan "Digital First Company company even before COVID to pursue digital transformation. Here in Korea, we have Amore Pacific.
아모레퍼시픽에서는 뉴 뷰티라고 해서
Amore Pacific, under the slogan of New Beauty, uses data to provide individualized services.
이러한 글로벌 기업들이 시장을
These global
선도해나가면서
companies are
시장에도
leading
이제
the
트렌드라는
market,
게 생기게 되는데요.
and trends are becoming created in the market. And we can say that there are four big trends. First is accumulating skin data and analyzing them. And related companies have been increasing. And second,
소비자들이 직접 제품을 활용해서
these data
쓸 수 있도록
are used for consumers to use them directly by being incorporated into IoT devices or developing softwares to enable users to use those data. And third, going beyond the experience of applying makeup on themselves, they are now becoming used to virtual try-on concept. So if you look at these companies who are doing metaverse campaign,
립스틱 브랜드에 대해서
and
저희가 벌추얼로 트라이온을 할 수 있는 그런 사례들도
there are also cases where there's a virtual try-on of lipsticks in certain cosmetics companies. So these are becoming solid trends. And in retail, we have something called retail tech. So instead of just displaying products in store, we would allow customers to experience them in a new way. So those are also part of our marketing strategy. And with regards to ModTech, that's also another big trend in this industry.
그렇다면 한국의 뷰티는 어떻게 대응을 하고
Then how is
있을까요?
K-beauty responding to these
일단은
changes?
데이터 부분 관련해서
First, with regards to
큰
data,
기업들은 여러분들이 인지하기 전부터
big
옛날부터
companies
피부에 대한 데이터를
for a
쭉
long period of time have
축적해
accumulated
오면서
skin-related data to incorporate that into their R&D and planning and manufacturing, even before you knowing it. But at a time when, let's say that a small company is trying to create cosmetics product, it's very expensive and time-consuming for them to do that. So the government has been accumulating those data for you, and now skin data and genome data, all those data can be used for you to expand your businesses. So that's our future concept. And bespoke cosmetics has been legislated into Korean law, and we're the only country in the world who has done that. Bespoke cosmetics. Once again, Korea is the first company, the first country or the only country who has a related law. You may feel that that is a regulation, but actually, if you look at it from the other side, you can basically say that Korea has the legal base for these bespoke cosmetics to grow further. And we are also creating many events and occasions where startups can showcase their contents and technologies. Korea has an ecosystem that allows fast production. So fast manufacturing system is used, and we are trying to conduct research on how we can incorporate fast manufacturing system with smart beauty tech. Now let's take a look at some smart beauty tech examples. At KCII, every month, we crawl various related articles and make them into big data to publish a monthly magazine. So you don't have to go into the websites of every single cosmetics companies out there. Instead, you can just take a look at these magazines to know what the recent trends are. And based on these magazines, we are able to know what the most noteworthy trends are. First one is the new customer experience. We're not talking about existing customer experiences, but new customer experiences. This is a big trend. And the start of that is to transfer offline experiences to online through metaverse or through virtual experiences.
이러한 것들은 참여자의 몰입감을 굉장히
These raises
높이는데요.
immersion on the part of
초기에는
the
또 참여자 몰입감에
consumers.
대해서
Now, with
아직
regards to
부족하다.
consumer
이런 이제
immersion, at
피드백을
first
주는
there were some
소비자들도
feedback
있었지만
that there's
기술이
still a long way to
이제
go,
발달을
but
하다
technologies
보니까
are
그런 부분이 이제
advancing,
좁혀나가고
and
있는
therefore the
상황입니다.
level of immersion is
미래의
increasing.
소비자 경험은 어떻게 변화가 될까요?
How will customer
저희는
experience
그렇게
change in the
생각하는데요.
future? This is our
온라인을
thought.
오프라인으로,
So,
오프라인을 온라인으로 단순히
it's not about
그런
transferring
경험의
online
차원이
to
아니라
offline and offline to
이제는
online,
소비자들이
but now
그동안
it's
갖지
all
못한 데이터를
about
가지고 새롭게 제품을 제안하는
taking
그런
data
상황으로
to
옮겨갈 거라고
recommend
생각합니다.
products to
이미
customers in a way that has never been done before. Now, take a look at Yves Saint Laurent. Now, you see this YSL set station experience. Once customers enter this space,
그러면 저의 감정 상태와
they
모든
would
것들이 측정이 되겠죠. 그거를 가지고
their emotions, state of emotions would be measured using a device, and based on the outcome of that assessment, you will be recommended with some perfumes that meets your emotions. So this is the kind of era that we're talking about for the future. Now, the second trend is data and MarTech.
데이터가 예전에는
In the
단순한
past,
고객의 그냥 단순 피부 데이터,
data
선호
were
데이터,
just
이런
about
것들만
customer skin
가지고
data and
서로
customer
경쟁을
preference
하면서
data,
이제 비즈니스를
and those
만들고
data were
마케팅을
used
했다면
for
이
companies to
데이터가
compete against
기업들이
each other and to
직접
develop their
나가면서
technologies.
본인 비즈니스의
But
맛도
now
굉장히
companies
고도화시키는 방향으로 가고
are
있습니다.
accumulating these data on their own,
되려면
and they're
디지털에서
using
마케팅
them
기술과
to
결합을
advance
해야
their
되는데요.
products.
마케팅 기술에
And now
대해서
MarTech
여러
is
가지
also
환경들이
another
변화하게
big
되거든요.
trend.
뭐 당장
Many
저희가
things in
이트만이
the
알고
environment
있는
are
거는
changing
내년도부터
surrounding
이제
MarTech.
구글에서
So, for
서드
example, the
파티
third-party
데이터
data
사용하지
cannot
못하게
be used on
되잖아요.
Google
그런
starting
기술들이
next
여러
year.
가지가 결합하게 되면서
So,
이제
by
이런
combining
데이터의
with
중요성이
various
높아지고 또
elements,
마케팅
the
기술도
importance
점점
of data
개발되고
is
많이 되고 있습니다.
increasing, and MarTech is also advancing.
세 번째 기조는 여러분 모두가
Third
소비자이시지만
is
뷰티 크리에이터시잖아요.
bespoke cosmetics. You are both
이제는
consumers and beauty
내가
creators,
매대에
right?
있는 이미
So,
정형화되어 있는 제품이 아니라
instead of
나에게
using
맞춘
this
제품, 그것을 프리미엄
instead of
제품이라고
using
인식하고
all-purpose
구매하고자 하는 소비자들이
cosmetics,
많습니다.
consumers are now more
그것에
interested in
대해서
bespoke
이미
cosmetics. They view that
연구조사들이
as
많이 나와
premium
있는데요.
products, and we see this
뭐
through various
2019년도에
market research
유로모니터에서 소비자
activities.
조사를 한 것들을
So if you
보면
look at consumer
거기서는
surveys
이제
that were
소비자들이
done,
나에게
the
초개인화로 맞춘
consumers
거, 그리고
say that products
기존에는
that are
맞춤에 대해서
hyper
선호가 아니라 뭐
personalized
데이터나
are the ones that they
DNA
want.
데이터나 아니면 다른
Whether it be
데이터를
DNA
이용해서
data
나에게
or other
제안하는 거.
data,
이런
those
것들이
data
프리미엄
should be
화장품이라고
used
인식을
to
하고
recommend the
있습니다.
products for them, and they recognize
이때
these
이제
products
중요한 게
as
어떤 게
being
있냐면요.
premium.
바로 이제 구체적 진단과 맞춤
Now,
제품을 제공할 수
specific
있어야 된다는
diagnosis
거고요.
as well
그다음에
as recommendation
일반적인
of bespoke
상담이 아니라
product
전문가가
is seen
상담을
as being
해줘야
very
돼요.
important
그리고
to the
DNA
consumers,
검사 같이
and experts would have to
개인에게 아주
provide personal
특성화된
consultation,
데이터를 기반으로
and
맞춤 제품을
these
제공하는
customized or bespoke
이런
products
것들을
are based
갖추고
on
있어야
DNA
이제 맞춤형
test.
화장품으로서
So these are three
경쟁력을
criteria that needs to be
가지고 시대로
satisfied for a bespoke cosmetics product to have a competitive
미래의
edge.
맞춤형 화장품은
In
저희가
the future,
정말 집중해야 되는
bespoke
영역 중에
beauty
하나예요.
is something that we must
미래
really
맞춤형 화장품에
concentrate
대해서
on.
글로벌 기업들이 어떻게 움직이고 있는지에
Now, let's
대해서
look at some of
연구자들로서 많이
the
보는 것들이 이제
things that
테크
global companies are
관련된
doing with
전시에 대한
regards to
사례들을 많이
bespoke
보거든요.
beauty, and we can see them in tech
2022년도에
exhibitions like the
CES에 나와 있는
2022
사례들을
CES
영상들을
exhibition.
살펴보면은
If we look at some
여러분들도 이 맞춤형
examples,
화장품이 어느 방향으로
you will
가고
be
있는지
able to
보실
see
수
the
있어요.
direction in which these
일단은 한
bespoke
가지
beauty is being
디바이스에 여러 가지
developed.
향을
So, for example, a
내준다든지
single
아니면
device
하나의
can
디바이스 내에서
generate multiple
염색을
scents,
머리 색깔에 정확히
or a
맞춰서 할 수
single
있는
device
이러한
can be
제품들이
used
나오기도
to
하고요.
dye your hair in
그다음에
different colors.
미래, 과거 그리고 현재
And
나의 피부 데이터를
there are
이용한 그런
devices
서비스,
and services
나의
that
감정
use
상태를
your
이용한
past,
테스트,
present, and
이런
future
것들까지
skin data,
서로 개인화를
and also
계속
those
옮겨가고
that even
있습니다.
consider your
스마트 뷰티 테크
emotions.
같은
So they're
경우에는
becoming
소비자
hyper
만족을
personalized.
높이는 버추얼 경험과 함께
And together with
초개인화를
virtual
계속 옮겨가고 있고요.
experiences,
그리고 이제
hyper
디바이스
personalization will
디자인이 아니라
continue to be
여러분들이
a
데이터
big
기반의 맞춤형
trend.
화장품으로 넘어가고
And those bespoke
우리 맞춤형
cosmetics
화장품에
products
대해서
will be
한번
based on
유형을
big
여섯
data.
가지로 나눠볼 수
Now,
있는데요.
bespoke beauty
간단하게
types can be
넘어가고
divided
마지막으로
into
여러분들
6
뷰티 크리에이터로
types.
어느 분야에
Now, I'll go
집중을
over
하면
this,
좋을지
and then later
말씀드리도록
I'll talk about what you should pay attention to
맞춤형
as
화장품의
beauty
첫 번째
creators.
이제 유형 같은 경우에는요.
Now, the first type
여러분들 아이오페 랩을
is,
생각하시면 됩니다.
think about
가셔서
IOP lab.
피부를 측정하시고
You go to the lab and
맞춤형
you
화장품을
would
제공받는 게
have your
첫 번째
skin
유형이고요.
scanned and
두
get
번째는
recommended.
여러분이 직접 집에서 갖고
Now,
있는
that's first step.
디바이스에 맞춤형으로 제품을 제공합니다.
Second, you can think about these devices that you use at home, which would recommend products for you. And this one is similar to the type 2, but you would print out the images and use them to try the makeup on. The third type is about getting online consultation for bespoke cosmetics. Type 4 is using biotechnology like your DNA. You would be able to get solutions that will deal with the future. In other words, these products would care for your future skin as well. Type 5 is a business model that recommends products based on your preference and taste. Now, last one is a virtual makeup service. You will be able to experience the product online, not offline, and purchase those products. Lastly, I'd like to talk about us, the beauty creators.
여러분들 그 뷰티 크리에이터란 단어를 생각하시면
Think about the word beauty creator. What comes to your mind? In Web 2.0 era, we call them content beauty creators, but in Web 3.0 era, we will have to go beyond contents and create businesses. Those are beauty creators in the Web 3.0 era. Now, the first job that we can have as beauty creators are those who can create new products that befits customer preference. Bespoke cosmetics has great potential to grow in the future. So if you study this area in depth and make preparations for the future, you will definitely have a competitive edge. Here in Korea, you will be able to, of course, see the effect of job creation. And second is a digital beauty content creator. You experience cosmetics using metaverse these days. Now, so digital beauty creators in the future will use metaverse and NFT to create contents. And also, there's beauty tech solution creator. When all these if for all these ecosystems to operate and run well, we need people who are skilled in technology. Of course, they can come from other sectors, but we want you, the beauty creators, to become more tech savvy so as to create creative products that will win the hearts of our customers. So once again, you can become creators who provide beauty tech solutions. So far, we've talked about smart beauty tech and the value chain of the industry, and why we must concentrate on bespoke cosmetics and what the risks are and opportunities are, and what opportunities we can seek in this change as beauty creators. So it was difficult for me to go over the project in detail because I was limited in time. Nevertheless, we wanted to share our ideas with you, the future leaders of K-beauty. I'm very happy to be able to make this presentation, and we will make further research and support efforts going forward for you to flourish in the future. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Please give her another round of applause once again. So that was a very interesting presentation. We didn't know how time has passed. Now, the term beauty tech, that gives us a food for thought. Beauty and technology has been incorporated in various areas of our life already. So this is the future of the beauty industry. And we are now on a path to create and discover new opportunities and potentials. And thank you for sharing your insights.
As the first presenter mentioned, K-beauty has taken the world by storm. However, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it underwent some major seismic changes. So what would be the future of K-beauty? We will be able to find that out while we listen to the second presentation. The title of the second presentation is Innovation Through K-Beauty Ecosystem. Allow me to introduce the second speaker. We have with us Ms. Federica Campari, who is the lead of Korea Innovation Center, and she will be presenting about innovation through K-beauty ecosystem. Please use the receivers. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So thank you very much for having me here today. I'm very glad, very excited to introduce you to L'Oréal Korea Innovation Center. So before starting, just a couple words about me. So my name is Federica Campari. I'm the general manager of the Korea Innovation Center. I'm Italian, as I guess my accent is saying. I started in L'Oréal 10 years ago. I worked first there in Milan, where I'm from. Then I moved for 5 years in Paris, in the headquarters of L'Oréal. And then I moved 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago, here in Seoul, in this beautiful city where I'm now based in. So here I'm leading the Korea Innovation Center for L'Oréal. So why did L'Oréal 5 years ago decided to create an innovation center based here in Seoul? So let's start with a context. Seoul is, for everyone in the beauty ecosystem and for us in L'Oréal, a very unique place for beauty. It's a place that is populated by consumers that are extremely sophisticated, where their touch points of beauty go way beyond just beauty at home, in the bathroom, touching beauty salons, touching clinics, so with a very sophisticated routine. It's a consumer that is able to influence other countries, not only in Asia, but around the world, also thanks to the growing power of K-drama, of K-pop. And it's a consumer that, especially as a very unique one in the world, has this eager of innovation, has this will to always try something new, always be the first one to try a new gesture, a new product, a new hybrid. And that is no surprise, is why in Korea is the place where a lot of products and new categories have been born, right? The cushion, sheet masks, fresh mix, BB, CCs, a lot of products have been born here. And it goes way beyond also the consumer. The uniqueness of Korea is also to have all the biggest ODMs concentrated here in one place. So here on the slides, you see the biggest one, but the ecosystem is massive. It has a lot of companies that are investing in innovation every day and with who we partner to create innovations for L'Oréal. So concretely, what does the Korea Innovation Center do? So we are here to get inspirations, to get inspired by these ecosystems, to discover new trends, and to then translate and transform them into products for L'Oréal, for all brands within L'Oréal. So it really go from scouting the idea, finding the new trend, until having the very end product for all of our brands. We put on the market approximately 10 to 15 innovations every year that are all based here and born here in Seoul. So our mascot, our logo is an octopus, not only because it's such a delicious dish here in Seoul, but especially because it represents who we are. So the octopus is a very smart animal. The octopus is very flexible. It has this flexible body, and we're here to adapt to this fast evolving, flexible ecosystem. And the octopus has a lot of tentacles, right? So it's what we are here for. We are here to have tentacles everywhere in this ecosystem and get the most out of it to transform it for the company. So here's my team. So the uniqueness of the Korea ecosystem, of the Korean Innovation Center, is really being here in Seoul, so the place, but also and especially the people. So the team is a very unique place within L'Oréal. It's the only place in L'Oréal where marketing, R&I, and operations come together in the same open space. So 11 different competencies, 9 different nationalities that share the same open space to work every day on innovations that are born here in Seoul and transform them for our brands. So how do we do that? I was saying that an important part of our work is to get inspired, is to get the trends and ideas from this ecosystem. So you can imagine a big corporate, a big company has a lot and tons of data. So of course we're nourished by a lot of digital scoutings, a lot of trend analysis, as many different teams around the globe at L'Oréal. But what makes our way very unique is that we go on the ground, we go on the field. A very banal example, but the last Friday of every month, no one from the Korea Innovation Center is in the office. We're all over Seoul, grabbing and discovering new ideas that can inspire us. We also try things. There is no procedure, no new product, no new innovation that is put on the market that we don't personally try ourselves. And then we have very strong relationships, very strong partnerships within the ecosystem. So we work very closely with derms here in Korea, and we have a unique panel of women that are actually pro-consumers, I would say, and that help us while we develop concepts, while we develop formulas, while we develop new packagings, and they give us feedbacks all around the way, in a way that is much more, I would say, faster, inspired by the fast DNA of Korea, which is much faster and much more flexible than what we do usually in L'Oréal. So let me go concretely in showing you some of the innovations that we have put on the market this year. So you see on the slide the very recent launch that we have put on the market for YSL, for Yves Saint Laurent this year. Inspired, I mean, Korea, we all know, is the birthplace of compacts. More than 10 years ago, Korea was the first place that put makeup out of the bathroom, making foundation for the first time portable. And Korea has also gone a step forward recently with a new technology, that mesh technology within compacts that allow to have cream foundation now portable. So we have worked with the Korea ecosystem for both developing the formula but also the packaging to transform it for one of our biggest brands in the group. Same mesh technology is also being transformed for Lancôme this year, just launching throughout Asia, and both of those launches are skyrocketing the rankings in every country. Another example is always for YSL, Yves Saint Laurent, Rouge Volupté Candy Glaze. It's a very unique technology that is born by the trend of, by the big comeback, I would say, of gloss and shine that is led by Korea and that is now influencing, again, as I said, through K-pop, through K-dramas, or a lot of other countries in Asia and beyond. So we have fast developed with the ecosystem here in Korea this innovation that has had a huge buzz in the market at the beginning of this year. Another example now on skincare are, of course, sheet masks, another huge innovation that is born here in Korea and that we have developed in very different kinds, from hydrogel to triple layer to cream infused layer, really leveraging all the technologies that were available within here in Korea and scaling this technology to almost all of our brands. So let me share more concretely what is our roadmap of innovation. So in the Korea ecosystem, in the Korea Innovation Centers, we're here to develop with the ecosystem two, I would say, type of innovations. The first one is what we call tech innovation, where we want to go big. And then we're here also to transform more trendy innovations where we want to go fast. So tech innovation is all what is in skincare, for example, new derm actives, new patented technologies, new transformative textures or technologies. And here you see some examples on the slides that we have developed with Armani, Kiehl's, or Lancome, and they were all inspired in Seoul. So Kiehl's had, for example, a fermented Korean ingredient, as much as Lancome was a very performative, high concentrated ampoule. Trend innovations, I have spoken about the mask, but today we're very much inspired about all the trends that are going on in body, in cleansers, or new formats that are so trending here in Korea, as much as sticks or mists. In makeup, the big technologies are all about constantly reinventing compacts, which is very much the uniqueness and what Korea really leads across the world. And on the other hand, being fast in transforming all the trends that we see here in makeup. I mentioned gloss, and we have glitters that are starting in Korea and that are now influencing the world. So for us here is very much about looking the so trendy Korean look that the whole world is very much looking at. So I have spoken very much about products that we transform, and it's true that it's a big part of what we do and how we co-develop with, on one hand, the ODMs, but also on the other hand with Korean tech innovators. But the Korean Innovation Center goes also beyond the products itself. So we have seen it in the intervention right before mine that was so inspiring, and thank you for that, the importance of beauty tech. And the importance of beauty tech for L'Oréal. For us is really a belief. So we know that the expectations from consumers has evolved in the last 3 to 5 years more than in the last 30 years. So, and we believe that this new wish to constantly reinvent the way we approach beauty can be done only through technology, through digital and through technology. So it's really one of the key missions of our group is to constantly reinvent the way we discover products, the way we try products, the way we buy products, through technologies and through digital. And Korea has not only to offer on trends, on products, it has a lot to offer also on technologies. And the group is not only convinced that the future is very much about beauty tech, is also convinced that the future is very much about cooperation, what we call the world of co. So we are extremely open and in constant discovery of new startups, of new companies that have, with who we can co-develop, co-work together, co-partner to develop new technologies to bring within the group to again reinvent the whole consumer experience. So I think that was what I wanted to share with you today. And thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Again, I joined this job 1 year ago. It's a fantastic adventure. It's really a great place to be. If you're passionate about beauty, not coming to Seoul is a miss out, actually. It's really what we call the Silicon Valley of beauty, and it really is. And until you're not here, you don't understand it. And leading an innovation center here is really a great job, a great opportunity that every day brings more to me and to the team. What I want you to bring home is that such a huge company like L'Oréal, one of the big achievements of creating this innovation center is to keep it a bit aside of the classic ways of working. So L'Oréal managed 5 years ago, and it took some time to really understand how to make it work, of course, as always, But what's so precious and unique to the Innovation Center is to maintain this startup-like ways of working that are not in the big L'Oreal machine, because it's the only way with which we can really leverage the ecosystem, with which we can really understand and go after the huge speed of innovation of Korea. If we wouldn't be able to isolate this innovation center from the rest of the company, we wouldn't be able to really tap into and understand and transform for the L'Oreal all these beautiful innovations that Korea offers. So thank you very much for that. I hope it was interesting. I hope it was inspiring. It's a constant journey, so stay tuned. A lot of new innovations are about to come on the market, born here in Seoul and in the Korean ecosystem for L'Oreal. And thank you so much. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much for your insightful speech. 네, 고맙습니다.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. L'Oreal Group leads the global beauty industry, and she talked about some of the insights that we can learn to really lead, to take K-beauty to the global stage. Thank you very much for the presentation. And I believe that was quite insightful to the next leaders of K-beauty.
테크부터 K-뷰티 생태계에 대한
Now we earned insight on smart tech and innovations in K-beauty. And when we talk about the advancement of an industry, there's something that we cannot leave out, and that is regulation. So in the third presentation, we will be able to listen to what sort of regulations are in place against cosmetics here in Korea and what measures we can take against them. Now the speaker is Professor Kang Hyun at the Department of K-Beauty Business at DAEGU HAANY University. And he also was a director of a startup incubation center. He's up on stage already. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
네, 반갑습니다.
It's very nice to meet you. Allow me to introduce myself.
화장품을 실제로 전공하거나 그러진 않았고
So I didn't study cosmetics in school, but
산업을 육성하는 정책들이나
when it comes to policies on incubating cosmetic products and so on, I've been involved in the area for quite a long time.
많은 세미나들
So, and I've been attending many related seminars to gain more knowledge in this area. But it's actually my first time delivering a lecture in an event like this, so I'm quite nervous. Now, the first two presenters talked about the future of the beauty industry, the bright aspects. But what I want to tell you today
실제로 굉장히 좀 어두운
are the darker aspects.
그리고 마지막에 결론 부분에서 말씀드리겠습니다.
And I'll tell you this in my conclusion, but these so-called regulations are actually making things very tough for cosmetic companies, and what the government and Seoul should do in order to alleviate these burdens from the companies.
화장품 산업이라고 하는 것 자체는 최근에 굉장히 큰 산업이 됐습니다.
Now, the cosmetic industry has grown into a very big industry these days. So people used to see them as businesses, but now we are looking at them as industries. It hasn't been that many years since we've had this shift in focus. But if we look at the trade index and so on, cosmetics actually play a big part.
이런 화장품 산업 같은 경우는
So the cosmetic industry actually allows not only cosmetics products to grow, but it can also grow together with front and back industries. And therefore, this industry is very important.
번째로는 이 산업 자체가
Now, this industry itself has a very high growth potential.
최근에 뭐 동남아를
So in Southeast Asia and even in the Americas and Europe, the so-called Korean wave of Hallyu is gaining immense interest. And food and cosmetics have enjoyed a positive impact of Korean wave, and actually more cosmetics than food. And this trend is expected to continue in the future, so there's no doubt that the cosmetics industry has high growth potential. Next, this industry actually has a high economic ripple effect. So the cosmetics products are being exported quite in large volumes, but they can actually be connected with beauty service industries in terms of performing or applying and use these cosmetics. And that actually leads to job creation. So it's a very advanced industry in terms of its ripple effect. And actually, automation is not possible in the beauty industry. Manual work is still necessary, and therefore the beauty industry creates a lot of jobs, and beauty industry can grow together with other industries. In order to launch a cosmetic product, we need to start with R&D on ingredients, we need to make the containers, we have to come up with design and sales, marketing, business, everything is interconnected. And so altogether this industry is like a piece of art. Therefore, the beauty industry meets people's inner desire to cultivate beauty, and it has great potential to grow. And if it's connected to tourism, fashion, shopping, and so on, it can create more synergy. And if we are to look at some of the key characteristics of the cosmetics industry, first, again, it drives job creation compared to other industries. If you look at the job creation coefficient compared to automobile, electronic industries, cosmetic industry really tops the list. So in 2020, the cosmetics manufacturing industry saw a 1.7% rise in jobs year on year, while the entire manufacturing industry saw this figure fall. And this is also creating synergy effect together with Hallyu. And according to COFIS, as of 2019, the export contribution effect of Hallyu was about $13.2 billion, and among them, cosmetics accounted for $9.7 billion. And since year before last year, the cosmetics industry faced challenges due to the pandemic. The pandemic constrained people from going outside, and therefore people did not feel the need to apply makeup. And of course, even if they go outside, they would wear a mask. So these so-called color makeups face many challenges. But products related to hygiene and sanitation actually rose 217% prior to COVID. So that's why companies began to increasingly focus on home care, and offline sales have transferred or shifted to online sales. So the offline sales of consumer goods actually decreased in 2020, but online cosmetics transactions increased significantly. And also, there are changes in technology trends. The technology paradigm in the cosmetics industry has changed its focus to market changes and trends to efficacy, eco-friendliness, sustainability, convergence, and hyper-personalization. So in the past, the businesses would create products based on market trends. But now, that is based on the consumer preference, the consumer demand. And in the past, people used generic products, but microbiome and nanotechnologies have been incorporated into cosmetic products to create new products never seen in the market before. And there are bespoke cosmetics that actually consider your genome information, and so on and so forth. Now let's take a look at the size of the cosmetics industry. In 2020, there was a outlook or prediction that Korea would become world's third largest cosmetics exporter. And as a matter of fact, we have become third largest cosmetics exporter. So from 2019 to 2020, when we had COVID-19, the export performance fell a bit. Nevertheless,
5,300억 원 정도로 2020년 대비 21.5% 정도 증가를 했기 때문에
we have seen the CAGR for exports for the past 9 years increased by about 25%, and therefore we can still say that the size of the cosmetics industry will continue to grow.
산업이라고 하는 것 자체가 발전하기 위해서는
Now, in order for an industry to grow,
규제라고 하는 것이 무조건 개입될 수밖에 없다는
regulation inevitably comes into place because of information asymmetry.
지금 말씀드리려고 하는 부분은 실제
Now, what I want to tell you today is about the changes in trends in the cosmetics industry first. So we can talk about 4 trends. One is related to the product. Now, the products are increasingly becoming eco-friendly.
실제 어떤 기업 윤리라든지
And company ethics and its awareness on economic issues in cleanliness and so on. Those are big issues in the industry. And the products are increasingly becoming premium. So this could be a simple change in the market, but if you look at the other way around, ingredient eco-friendliness, those can actually act against the cosmetics industry as regulations. Now, there's also trend change in the consumers. If you look at the change in consumers, so aging of the population and anti-aging are 2 key words. So there has been a change in the major customer base due to the increase in elderly population. Most of them are now 50 or older, which means that they're interested in anti-aging. And plus, there's a change in perception of men's makeup. It's becoming increasingly popular. But cosmeceutical or anti-aging, according to the regulations, now cannot be used when advertising cosmetics. So those are subject to regulation. And through the advancement of smart technologies, online beauty, streaming beauty are gaining popularity. And also, I've been talking about this very frequently, but the concept of bespoke cosmetics was first introduced here in Korea. But I think personally that when, in Korea, we passed a law on bespoke cosmetics, but the market itself is not so big right now. So we do have side effects coming from those regulations. And we don't have any solutions for those side effects. That's the biggest problem. So I think that these bespoke cosmetics would have to be subject to many regulations by the government in terms of the location of their plants and other things. So through various medias, you probably already know about these changes in cosmetics trends. And the reason why I'm reminding you of this is because the cosmetics business is not a business, it's an industry. And you need to be aware of these trends and regulations when you want to understand the industry. Now, when a business grows into industry, the problem is that new regulations and laws are introduced. Now, I'd like to talk about some related laws. So in Korea, regulations on certain matters can be established through laws and rules. There's the Cosmetics Act at the very top, and there's the executive ordinance, executive rules, and notices under them. So the Cosmetics Act actually is the highest level of regulation that deals with the cosmetics manufacturing and so on. And according to the necessity, there are separate regulations on other specific items like regulations on functional cosmetics screening and regulations on cosmetics safety standards. So we have the Act and related enforcement ordinances and rules and notices to control the cosmetics industry. And
모든 정책을 총괄하는 기구는 보건복지부가 되어
the Ministry of Health and Welfare
식약처에다가 위임하고 있는
is
형태입니다.
the one that takes control when it comes to the development phase. But afterwards, in terms of manufacturing, distribution, and use, most of the work is mandated to the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, or the MFDS. So but if you look at how the cosmetics industry is growing and its prestige in the global arena, I don't think the Ministry of Health and Welfare or the MFDS are the suitable ministries to take control of the beauty industry, because they're not enough. They don't have the enough capability to foster the growth of the beauty industry globally. This is my personal thought. And as you can see, these regulations are usually related to ingredients and the conditions for manufacturing and containers, and also the ads. In terms of ingredients, you can see that there's Cosmetics Act, the ordinance regulation, and ordinance rules that actually deal with the ingredients. In terms of manufacturing, there's the regulation or execution ordinance. In terms of containers, it actually has a regulation on the containers that can be used for cosmetics products for babies and young children. And there are also many regulations on the ads as well. There's a separate regulation for that. Now let's take a look at some specific cases. So what was the talk of the town was the revision of the regulations on cosmetic safety standards this year. So you probably saw this on the media already. So regulations on cosmetic safety standards usually deal with ingredients that cannot be used, or those that need to be limited in use in terms of their amount. So they actually say you cannot use these ingredients, and even if you use these ingredients, you have to limit their amount. So the Korean law actually uses a negative list system. So the MFDS makes these announcements on a regular basis, and recently this regulation has been revised twice with regards to hair dye ingredients. So in January, it added 1, 2, and 4 THB in the list of ingredients that cannot be used. And in the second revision, more hair dye ingredients, 5 of them, as a matter of fact, were added to the list. And this issue keeps rising. So the government actually said that it will conduct a toxicity test on 76 ingredients and disclose the results later. And you know that these so-called black shampoos were hit the most because of these regulations. An SME filed for a patent on this black shampoo. That was the beginning of the problem. So in November 2021, the company was prohibited from conducting an ad campaign for 4 months. And the reason is because the ad itself actually talked about the shampoo's hair dye function when that was not what it got a permission for. So the MFDS actually raised some problems with that, and therefore the company was not able to perform ads. But the company actually filed for a petition, and a related body actually ruled that they would wait for about 2 years to actually see whether this product is really problematic or not. Well, these black shampoos have become very popular that they created a new category of their own, and many companies began to create their own black shampoo brands. But as I said before, regulations added 5 new ingredients to its list of prohibited ingredients. So this controversy has a lot of significances, but it actually shows that regulations actually hamper the growth of cosmetics industry and the creation of new products. And this is a second case. It's related to containers. Now, this is not a law, but it's a regulation, so it's something that we must be aware of. When it comes to packaging materials, the producers have to submit a plan as to how they would recycle these packaged materials going forward. And there is actually a material and structure evaluation indication system for packaging materials that was passed this year is now in full enforcement. Now, this system was introduced last year, and you probably saw many of these marks on the cosmetics containers. But many of the grades marked on the outside of cosmetics containers is difficult to recycle because cosmetics containers have to protect the contents inside while looking beautiful and pleasing at the same time. So we have to use many composite materials for packaging, and hence it is almost impossible to get an excellent grade in recyclability. You might say, what is the problem? It's just about the recyclability of the raw packaging material. But you have to think about this. Let's say that a cosmetics company actually created an eco-friendly product, but let's say that its container is difficult to recycle. That may actually wreak havoc on the sales of that certain product. So these two cases are examples of the trouble that the cosmetics companies are facing today because of regulations. Now, I brought some keywords here, and the reason why I was not able to write down so many keywords is because MFTS would probably come after me. It's a very scary ministry, as a matter of fact. But now let's take a look at this. Now, so according to the Cosmetics Act, cosmetics have a mild effect on the human body. But if you look at the current regulations, they seem to be much more strict, much more regulated than foods and medications that directly affect the human body. So of course, protecting consumer safety and public health always comes first. However, when regulations are made, we need to make sufficient consideration of their impact on the industry. That recent controversy over black shampoo. Now, if you look at the notice, the notice actually contains a calculation which actually says that if you look at the banned ingredients, they can be replaced with something else, and so there will be no economic damages. Even if there are damages, they would be small enough to be negligible. So the formula here actually takes into account the reported amount of ingredients produced and the estimated number of companies and multiply them by the ingredients unit cost, but this did not take into consideration the size of the potential growth of domestic and overseas markets. So you really need to be careful about implementing regulations. And usually regulations are adopted once products are launched in the market and there are some issues with that problem. But if the negative list system continues to be adopted in regulations, that's not going to be good for the SMEs because they would go through many trials and errors because of such system. So as a matter of fact, I believe it's very important that the government actually preemptively comes up with regulations regulations for the cosmetics industry. So in order to improve these problems, I personally think that
민간 협회의 역할이 굉장히 중요할
the
것이다라고
role of
생각을 해요.
association
규제를 할 때는
comprised
규제를
of
만드는
private
위원회에서도
companies
반드시
would be
문화를
very
전달하고
important.
협회라는
And when
게
making
산업적
regulations,
분야가
these associations would have to play a part in the formulation of the regulations. Their voices have to be heard before certain regulations are made and implemented. And regulations will inevitably be created in the future, but the government or the public or the society would have to change their views on the cosmetics industries. Cosmetics are not products, but an industry.
그래서 제가 이런 규제 전문가가 아니기 때문에
I'm not an expert on regulations, so I just briefly touched upon this issue. So thank you so much for listening until the very end.
네, 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Thank you. Please give him another big round of applause. Thank you, Professor Kang. So we have to look at cosmetics as not as products, but as an industry that really resonated with me. So the scope and the characteristics of the cosmetics industry and the changes in trend were talked about in the presentation. And you also made some suggestions to the government with regards to the issues surrounding regulation.
Thank you very much for the presentation. This is the Beauty Insight session that has brought together experts in this area to look at different angles of the beauty industry. Last but not least, this person will talk about the human resources and the importance of people for the growth of the sector. And the title of the presentation is The Future of the Beauty Industry and the Emergence of New Occupations. Please welcome Professor Kim Joo-deok of the Graduate School of Convergence Beauty at SUNGSHIN Women's University. Please give him a big hand. Good afternoon, everyone. As introduced, my name is Kim Joo-deok. I'm a professor at SUNGSHIN Women's University. Well, when I was asked to talk about the future of the beauty industry and new professions, I felt kind of lost. I did not know what to present. Back in 1993, I first opened a department for cosmetics in Korea, in the University of Korea, and I have been training many students in this field. However, the beauty trend is changing very rapidly, and new occupations keep rising. So what will be the next professions and what will define this profession? Well, let us find out. I will briefly talk about that during my talk today. As you can see here, we heard from 3 speakers prior to me. And when it comes to cosmetics industry, if you look at the characteristics of the profession itself, then Professor Kang talked about that, and Dr. Shin touched upon that topic as well. If you look at the profession of the cosmetics industry, well, we can see that it is a technology-intensive sector because science and technology are brought together to create cosmetics, and it's an overarching industry. Secondly, it creates value-added services. And also, we have many SMEs operating business in the cosmetics industry. Amori used to be a very small company when they first started. And SMEs can actually jump into this market compared to other more easily than other industries. So those can be some of the characteristics of this industry. So the environment keeps changing and the technologies keep advancing. And in that context, we can look at and analyze the cosmetics sector. So science and technology, as I mentioned, are brought together in this sector. Now, when it comes to raw ingredients, well, technology and science have to be there for companies to create and manufacture new products. And secondly, from the economic front, recently, we have seen a rise in exports, and the volume of export has increased in this sector. So the government needs to pay more interest. It did not pay much interest in this sector before. I said that I opened the department for cosmetics back in '93, and many people disagreed with my idea. They opposed my idea. They said that cosmetics is not valid enough as a department, and at the time, cosmetics was classified as a pharmaceutical product. But graduate schools and undergraduate schools have now introduced new departments for cosmetics, and we're seeing more jobs in this sector, and businesses are exporting more. As a result, the government started to pay higher attention, and now we are seeing different fronts and different sectors really invested in this area. And now, if you look at the environment, let us talk about safety. We briefly looked at the regulation side, but another rising trend is environment. ESG has become the new trend in the cosmetic sector, and from the business's point of view, ESG is something that they must embrace because it's closely related to the business. Now, if you look at the cosmetics industry, we have to look at the forward and backward linkages of the industry. And if you look at the cosmetics industry, it not only provides the forward linkage needed for the ecosystem to survive, because people are wearing and applying makeup, and at the same time, it is also creating jobs and nurturing more human resources. So in that sense, the cosmetics industry is considered to be one of the flagship industries of Korea and of other countries as well. Now let us look at the beauty industry. The beauty service industry and the cosmetics industry, how are these two linked to one another? Seoul City wants to foster the beauty industry, and last year I actually offered advice to the city of Seoul, and I'm still doing that. And I also presented at the National Assembly so that an ordinance can be adopted. But we have much work to do going forward. If you look at the beauty service industry, well, back in 2009, the Ministry of Welfare and Health started to use the terminology beauty service industry to foster this sector. Hair, skin, nail, makeup are part of this beauty service industry, so they must be connected to the overall beauty industry. And the Ministry of Health and Welfare is working very hard to create a link between the two. So not only the cosmetics industry, but the beauty and service industry should go hand in hand for Seoul to become the Mecca and the capital of cosmetics. Now, well, the previous speaker talked about some statistics, but the cosmetics industry has actually seen massive growth. And so far, the government considered this to be a luxury good. So the sector did not receive much assistance from the government. However, if you look at the numbers, then few years back, the export started to exceed import, and G7 was introduced. And the concept G7 is to become the global top 7 beauty industry on the global stage. And as of 2021, the production performance was 16 trillion, and Korea also ranked third in the world in terms of cosmetics export. So I said, let's not aim for G7, let's aim for G3. And that was our mission. And even before COVID-19, we were able to achieve that goal early. So we became G3 in 2021, in 2020. And the industry is now creating many jobs. Now let us look at the recent trends in the beauty sector. The previous speakers talked about the trends, and I would like to focus on the distribution channels. And the distribution channels have moved from offline to online. And I also do many interviews with the media, and I always tell them that we need to combine the two. We need to go hybrid. So be it live commerce or influencers or the metaverse, we need to utilize those channels to survive and succeed. And not only the distribution sectors, we also need to focus on the environment, because more people are becoming eco-conscious, and we also need to personalize the products for a different groups of customers. And actually, that is the new trend. And we also need to pursue collaboration between fashion and cosmetics brands. That is the latest trends. And as a result, that led to the emergence of new professions. Now let us look at manpower in cosmetics. We have business support or production, marketing, and R&D. Or it can be manufacturing or approval, licensing experts. These are some of the types of occupations that people and students can go to. And under marketing, we have naming experts and marketing strategists. As you can see here, there are many occupations in this sector. So for the beauty and cosmetics industries, most of the jobs are filled by people who studied in related departments, be it pharmaceuticals or cosmetics or beauty sector, beauty service. Students who major from those departments go into this field. And hair, makeup, and nail are some of the majors that schools have, and we are seeing a rise of those majors, and they're growing. Now we have many colleges and specialized schools, even high schools, that specialize in these subcategories and subsectors. And the beauty service subsector is also growing very rapidly under the overall beauty sector. And recently, I actually wrote a column, and this was the result of my research. So pharmaceuticals, aging, and eco-friendly, and cosmetics are some of the flagship sectors in Korea. And of course, we're contributing very much to Korea. However, when it comes to manpower nurturing, the government is not providing enough assistance. So cosmetics is not receiving enough support from the government when it comes to nurturing more human resources. So I also made some recommendations to the government for more support. And in July this year, there was a notification on the beauty sector recruitment. So at SUNGSHIN University, I am conducting a project to recruit more people and to nurture more people in this field. And actually, a larger number of students are very much satisfied with what they're getting. And I also participated in the biohealth convention a few days back. And cosmetics still needs to see more support because we need human resources to execute the plans that we have, and the plans will be useless without the people. So that is something that we need to work on going forward. We need people to be able to thrive. Now, let us look at why professions emerge. Let us look at some of the trends that drive the rise of new professions. If we look at the background, as the previous speakers mentioned, we see new trends led by AI, IoT, and so on and so forth. And cosmetics brands are applying these new technologies. So be it live commerce or influencers, they're very much interested in these new technologies. And because they're quite active, then by leveraging and endorsing the celebrities, then the companies can co-grow. So we see a rise in the number of influencers, and you can get a hint of how popular they are by seeing their content. And as the previous speaker mentioned, the metaverse also matters. So the cosmetics industry needs to leverage the metaverse to grow. And I believe that the metaverse will keep growing as a channel. And what about the subscription model? It can measure and detect, analyze your skin, and deliver that to you. So Tone 28 is a brand that actually does that. The CEO is Chung Yang-suk, who used to be my student. And before the concept of personalized cosmetics came out, she was the first one to adopt a subscription model and to deliver customized and personalized cosmetics right at the doorstep of the customers, and she's still very much engaged in that endeavor. Now let me give you some examples. And I'm sure that the audience here are very familiar with this concept. Now I'm talking about personalized cosmetics, but FDS, the Food and Drug Administration in Korea, what they're doing is they want to drive a second comeback of K-beauty and K-cosmetics. So going forward, be it big data or genome or genetics analytics, we need to apply those technologies to drive further growth for the cosmetics industry. I talked about AI and the IoT, and I'm sure that by utilizing those platforms, the sector will grow. Be it Amori or be it L'Oréal, they're actually already applying these advanced technologies and cutting edge technologies. And as the previous speakers mentioned, well, at first it was cosmetic sales was focused on door-to-door sales. However, that trend changed to offline, to online, and now we have influencers and live commerce channels. And that's where we need to focus on, and I believe that we will see more occupations in those subsectors and segments. And the inducement coefficient of employment is quite high in the cosmetics sector. And so I believe that the government will invest more and support more the beauty sector. Now, this is about nurturing more people. I actually did an interview, and this interview article with 세계일보 was about nurturing future talents in K-beauty. And new jobs will keep emerging. And the new jobs will include influencers, live commerce sellers, as well as viral marketers. And influencers do not just come overnight. Influencers will also lead to more jobs and more occupations because they will need people to shoot them, they will need to edit them, and so on and so forth. And live commerce will also create more jobs and induce more jobs. And influencers will influence more people to take interest in the beauty sector. And therapy is a new rising trend. And we also have beauty personal branding experts, perfumers, makeup planners, nail care specialists, as well as personalized cosmetics experts. These will be some of the new professions that will emerge going forward. And I believe they will contribute to the cosmetics sector in the future. I know that we are behind time. I have much to tell you, but I do not want to talk too much today because of the limitation of time. Anyways, my point is that we will see a number of new professions rise along the way, and be it other organizations or schools, they should be focused and take keen interest in the new professions and provide support for those professions. Yes, thank you very much for that presentation. Yes, as you mentioned, everything changed so fast recently, and the beauty sector is a sector that really undergoes rapid change. But you helped us really shape a new vision for the future and get an idea of what the future will hold for us. Anyways, thank you very much for the insightful presentation. I wish we had more time, but I would like to wrap up, and I hope that you had much food for thought after listening to today's presentations. The second part and the third part of the Beauty Insight session will take place tomorrow, in part 2, we will hear from L'Oreal, AK Plaza, Clio, and Pahe, and in part 3 from Colmar Korea, Clio. So please stay tuned and please enjoy Seoul Beauty Month and Seoul Beauty Week. Thank you very much for staying with us until the end. Thank you and goodbye.